tonight, so I'm not going to be actually able to respond to any YouTube live comments. Apologies in advance, but I'll try to come back after it's over. I'm just going to leave this iPad on while I record, so I won't notice those comments until maybe tomorrow. But I'm going to be talking to the camera this way, and I'll start the Facebook Live in about 45 seconds, so hang tight. This is not a very fancy operation, but once we get going, hopefully there's lots of information about preparation of your students for adjudication, which is what the main topic will be tonight. All right, so I see someone's joined, but again, I'll be aimed at that camera here for the Facebook Live. I'll be answering the questions on Facebook Live if you are on my Facebook page, Music in the Middle with Mr. D. So we're almost ready to go. I have all my papers ready, my glasses, Diet Mountain Dew, a little water. Okay, just checking the clock. I like to be prompt. But we should start. It should be about 30 to 45 minutes. So hopefully later you can use some info. Okay, I'm going to begin. Hello, everybody. It's Mr. D at In the Middle with Mr. D at blogspot.com. A little slow on that. Welcome. This is going to be an event about preparing your students for adjudication, which I'm doing right now, which many people are doing as they work through February and March coming up. Welcome. I see someone's here. I want to say a couple things as we wait for some people to join, and this will stay up on my Facebook page. It's also going to be on YouTube. My iPad is over here. I won't be answering questions on YouTube, however, because I'm going to focus on the Facebook Live. I can go back later and look at that YouTube questions maybe in the next couple of days, but if you want answers tonight, probably Facebook Live is your best bet. So it's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live. I've been recovering from my shoulder surgery, so it's all good now. My left shoulder, it's great. Can't believe how hard it was, but it's a lot better. I'm glad I did it. So your questions throughout this are welcome on Facebook Live. I'm not, again, able to answer those YouTube questions tonight. I'm just putting it on YouTube to keep it forever, so it'll be up forever and easy to find. So before I get started into the content, which is adjudication, the subject is adjudication, I have two things that are happening in my TPP store that if you want to purchase the S-Cubed program, you have 12 hours from now to get level 1 at $129. It's in my store right now at that price. Mega Bundle is $169. Level 2 is $59 for those who are ready for that. And Lesson 1 is free until tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So go and get them tonight before 6 a.m. After 6 a.m., those prices are going to go back to the normal, which is like $369, $269, and $159. But there is a way that you can get these prices, some good prices. They're like a little bit more than this, $149, $189, and $79 after 6 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm going to put a link at the bottom. Basically, you'll just contact me personally, and I'll help you arrange to get that taken care of before the 31st of January. Everything is good until the 31st of January. And I've already put on my Facebook page a Google Doc link with all the information about how to access that stuff, and I'll put it also in the comment section of this video. So that's S-Cubed. I'll review that at the end. All right, so let's get to what we're here for, which is preparing for adjudication. All right, so I posted on Facebook, I asked some teachers to share their concerns and fears about their upcoming adjudication. One of the first responses I got was from a first-year teacher who was following a teacher who had gotten all ones. Welcome, I did the same back in the day, 100 years ago. And I know it's scary. It's frightening, and you know the kids expect it, and it's you're new, maybe your first-year teacher. I know exactly what you're feeling. So here's my story of my first year. I didn't go my first year. I was too afraid. I knew the kids weren't ready. They sounded terrible. So I, out of fear, didn't go, which was, I wish I could have redone it, but I just knew I was terrible. So couldn't get a good sound of them. So year 2, I went. So the kids that I took in 8th grade had the teacher I replaced in 6th grade, but they still remembered what a legend she was. And I took them, they sang, they did their best, they got 3s, and that's good in the state of North Carolina where I taught at that time. I was devastated, they were devastated, but I knew they didn't deserve more than threes, right? So I was just still figuring it out. I did not understand how to get a good sound out of the students at all. And so it was actually, the embarrassing part of it was that it was published by accident in the North Carolina Music Educators Association magazine that summer. All of my peers I'd gone to college with who are in the same region saw that they normally published only superiors, but they accidentally published everybody's ratings, including mine. And I was so embarrassed when I saw that. And then a month later, they retracted it. So that's my first year story. So I understand the fears that you face. I understand the pressures that you face. And they're enormous, but it's worth it. Yeah, good times, right, Elizabeth? Thanks for the comment. So yeah, that was it. That was how I started. And I don't think I got my first. I got superiors in sight singing early. Their sight singing was very easy. It was like single. It was unison with stepwise and quarter notes. Super easy. So anyway, I just want to say a couple things before I get into the nitty gritty of preparation. With that story in mind, remember that this adjudication is just as much for you as it is for them. Once I started doing the adjudications, taking the feedback and learning and watching other groups is when I started to grow. You're going to become a better teacher by doing it. And I did as soon as I started doing it. Your adjudication is an opportunity for you and your students to really dig into some pieces and to work toward creating some awesome choral art. Okay, so that's really what it's all about in the end. Participation in the process is a professional growth exercise for you. So look at it through that lens and compete only with yourself, okay, as you approach this. And remember that this is not the only thing that matters, all right? Adjudication, it's not the only thing that matters. For me, it's a part of what keeps me on track. It helps me check my own work as a choral musician. But what I love to do more than anything is to do musicals with my kids. So I enjoy that more than preparation for adjudication, quite frankly. So, okay, so Elizabeth, you only meet your group once a week, and last week, snow day tomorrow, adjudication. Oh my gosh, all right, so I'm looking to see more. It's early March. Yeah, you've got time though. The snow days kill, but hang in there and just take it one day at a time. Right now, I feel like I've got too much time, so I'll tell you how I handle that. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Honestly, for adjudication, I prepare all year long. Some of the ideas I share with you, you can use next year because they do require early planning. And some of them you can apply right now before you go in the next few weeks or a month and a half or so. All right, so here is my plan. Here are some of the things that I do. First of all, sight singing preparation for me is all year long. It starts day one of school. So that's number one. Consistency is key. I do it 10 to 15 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week. Now in Georgia, the sight singing is very hard, so that's why I do that. In New Jersey, there was no sight singing requirement, but I still taught it, but I didn't teach it as aggressively. And in North Carolina, as I said earlier, it was single unison line with stepwise, simple. So I didn't have to work so hard on sight singing there. But here, that's what I have to do. So moving on, during the first 9 weeks of school, I listen to my students sing. We do not really festival level stuff, but I do stuff that pushes in that direction. I try to make sure there's fun stuff in the first 9 weeks because I want to engage them, but I try to test the festival sound, a little bit. And I ask myself, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses in that first 9 weeks? And then I continue to assess in the second 9 weeks, but I usually pick my music for a festival around the very end of first 9 weeks, which for me is the early October. So that's when I pick it, and you have to know your group when you pick that. It's very important that you pick music that works for your group. If you have a group of 8th graders and you have 2 boys, don't pick a hard SAB song and make a very careful decision about whether you even need a B in it. And what you're going to do and whether those boys can sing falsetto. I mean, those choices that you make about music are really important. And do not feel pressure to do really difficult music. There is a culture of that out there that really is not good when you try to push that, because the kids are frustrated, you're frustrated. I've picked music that's too hard before. It's not a good plan. Okay, the next advice I have for you is to read the rules of your state really carefully before you start your preparation. That way you and your kids can rehearse the way that you need to rehearse in both sight singing, if you have a sight singing component, and with your songs. Um, the when you go into the sight singing room, the last thing you want is to be breaking rules and to be told by the sight singing judge while you're trying to prepare your kids you're breaking rules. It's really an uncomfortable situation. You're stressed, your kids are stressed, it adds more stress. So read and reread those rules and know that your sight singing judges, at least in my state, can vary. Sometimes they're really, really strict and sometimes they're not. And you just kind of have to feel it out as you're in the room and roll with it. And in terms of your songs, we in Georgia have a list, and you need to make sure that you understand the requirements. And every state is different. In my state in middle school, we can choose one song from the list and one song that is not from the list. And so, hello, Aaron, welcome. So we, if I go in and I don't have songs from the list, then I'm going to get a lower score. And that's how it is. We're penalized in my state if we do that. If I go into the sight singing room and I want in Georgia to prepare maybe a two-part piece for my sixth graders or seventh graders, but I want to have them sing in unison, that's not allowed. And so right there on the spot, the sight singing judge would tell me, you've got to do it in two parts because that's what you sang. So there are things like that in each state that you really have to make sure you know. All right. The next word of advice I have is someone asked me, what do you do to prepare, the 2 and 3 parts for, getting them independent on their 2 and 3 parts, right? Okay, so there are tons of things I've done in the past. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing this year that I love so much, and a lot of you I know are already doing it, some are not. Maybe you don't know about it, but Google Classroom is everything. I love it this year. It's just the bomb, and it's helping so much. It's saving me time behind the piano. So what I've been doing is to prepare those parts, to give them opportunity to drill their parts. I've recorded their parts. I have the accompaniment recorded on my little clavinova, which I've already made, and then I have them. Then I double the part on the piano. Like I'll do the baritone, and then I'll upload it to the Google Classroom. I'll do the alto and like that. And then when they're in my classroom, we'll do our sight singing component. I'll lead vocal warm up. I'll do some group stuff together with the songs that they're ready for, the parts that they know, and then I'll send them off and I'll say you have 10 minutes to go review the parts from measure 45 to measure 55, which is 1 minute and 10 seconds to 1 minute and 30 seconds, so they go exactly to where they need to on the video. And they drill, and then they come back. Okay, so Jennifer, what do I do about 7th grade boys who may not be able to reach the lower pitches in sight singing? What I have done in the past, Jennifer, is, and they've let me do it every time, is I tell them the deal, and I ask them if they can sing in a little higher key. And they've always said yes. I think they're so happy to see the 7th grade boys, that they let us do it. So don't be afraid to ask that. Just say, if you have only one exercise to choose from and it's in the key of E or F and your kids don't hit F really well, then, I changed it to A flat. That's what I did it 2 years ago. I remember I had to do it. Last year, I did not have to do it. But when you do, just don't be afraid to ask. And all they can say is no. And if, but they've never said no to me. So I guess it depends on your state. And all right, so the next thing with with preparing the 2 and 3 parts, I say drill, staccato, a cappella, playing alto against baritone, singing legato separately. Everything you can to have them sing separately, and then when they come together, and you're starting to put them together, make sure that you set the precedent that when your sopranos are being rehearsed, that you don't rehearse them too long, and that your altos are always audiating their part in their ear against them, and then you're ready to pull them in. You've got to be ready. Your rehearsal has got to move that way. If it goes slow, they're going to check out, and you won't get that kind of preparation that you need. Like I'm in this stage now where I'm starting to put them together, and that's what I'm teaching my 7th and 6th graders. My 8th graders know. Like when I'm working with one part, they're listening. Sometimes they're humming. It just depends. But if you have other ideas about things you do to get them 2 and 3 part friendly, comfortable, competent, please post them in the comments. Okay, the next word of advice I have about adjudication preparation is to start early, be over prepared rather than under. You can always pull back on your prep, right? We have snow days happening. We have I have so many things in my back pocket ready for, I knew yesterday was going to be a day that I could not go in and start really making, my adjudication is not till like the 12th of March or 13th. I could not go in and start making, interpretation things yet. It's too early, and they'll peak way too early. So I introduced a brand new song from the musical instead, and then we reviewed the parts. Hello, I see these comments coming in. Let me check them real quick. So, I teach in Floyd County first year. I'm in an odd situation with my principal. Oh, Lord. Okay, this is a lot. Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm going to have to look at this after. Yeah, that's a long one. So let me check that out after, okay? And I'll check these other long ones out. I will definitely get to them. Okay. All right. Next word of advice I have for people, and you can just keep the questions coming, and I will check them out later. I start on the first day, and I know most people are past their first day by now, but this is an advice for next year. I start my first day by putting this into their Google Classroom. This is a judge's sheet from last year in Georgia, and there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's so many awesome, like, little things there that keep me on track for tone and stuff, and pitch and rhythm, and I just love them, and I make the kids look at them, and they can't really read the cursive. They don't read cursive anymore, but it doesn't matter about the reading really as much. I can read that to them. It matters about those little things that the judges' sheets in your state, whatever they put on there. Those are valuable teaching tools, vocabulary words and things that you can use. And then I use my sight singing adjudication as well, and I make sure my kids have that. They look at it, and we look at it first day, so they know what they're doing. And then we continue to refer back to it. Like, it's probably about time for me to refer back to it this week. I'll probably do some things that I'm going to share with you in a minute, and refer back to that judge's sheet so they can just sit and look and think, where are we in our journey, and how do we sound? Okay, so all right. The next word of advice I have is, once they know the parts really well and they can pretty much be independent, then record them. And I stopped using fancy recording devices years ago because iPhone is fine, it's available, and it makes me do it more. Like, I record so much more now than I ever did back in the day when we had to have some kind of device and hook it up and then figure out how to play it for the kids, and now it's just really, really simple. So I record them a lot. So we're about 4 weeks into our preparation. I'm about to get to a recording moment where we listen to it together and we assess, and they will use the judges' sheets and they will score themselves, and we'll keep track of the scores. I take 4 groups to adjudication. And I like to use competition to motivate them, so I make sure every group sees every group's score each time we do the assessment. They see the score I gave, all right? So the kids will share their scores, they enjoy being judges, and then I will put on the board my personal score, and then they will watch that score change over time. And it's really good, and I'm really harsh on them, and you should be. Okay, another good word of advice I'd like to give is to get someone in, if you can, to listen to them and critique them. Someone you respect, someone who knows the adjudication process. And actually, it doesn't even have to be live anymore. I mean, you could just video them and put it on YouTube or in a private video or whatever, someone across the country, and have them listen and give you some critique. Give that judge your judge's sheet and let them help you. Does Georgia do solo and ensemble? Yes. I'm not sure when our solo and ensemble is. I don't usually participate in that. So if you're from Georgia, Mary, you may need to check on that. I know it's on their website. Okay, so another word of advice I'd like to give is to find recordings on YouTube of students singing the songs. And I noticed I did not say singing the songs well. I said, oh, wow, you're sweet, Jennifer. I don't know, where are you? They need to have examples of the songs being sung well and poorly, if you can find them. Oh, that's kind of far. All right. So, it's okay. And you can even have them judge those groups, saying there's so many ways, just if you are good at keyword searching, you can find just about any version of your song that, if you dump all the words in there right on YouTube. All right, the next word of advice that I have is somebody wrote and said, I'm worried about the deer in the headlight look, the fear that their voices will stop working, that they will not, project, and these types of things. And there are three things that I think help this. Jennifer, you're not that far. Wow. Three things that help my kids with this. Yes, good. Nola, good. I'm glad I'm on the same page as people who are teaching out there. All right, so preparation is one thing that keeps them able to face their fears and from locking up and from deer in the headlights. So that's key. Second is you relaxing yourself. Like before, when you're at the adjudication, I always, because I'm a wreck, and I've done it 27 times, times 4, because I take 4 groups each year, still get nervous, right? But I inhale myself, just take a breath. And then do the same with your kids, like let them take that breath and let you guys have that connection, and then you start, and there's no rush, it's just, you just have to force yourself to relax. And the third thing that helps the deer in the headlight and the fear and all that stuff is helping your students immerse in the meanings of the songs. And that takes teaching. You have to take a lesson or 2 or 3 and really focus and dive deep in on the meaning of what your kids are singing. And if it's in a foreign language, you got to figure that out. And you got to figure out how to relate the meaning to them. You got to not tell them what it means, but let them tell you, what it means to them, and then you can bounce things off the wall. Because I tell them, I don't care really what it is that you're thinking, like whether it makes sense to you, whether you're thinking what I would think if I were singing is irrelevant. What's relevant is that you're thinking something that means something to you. And that's where you can dive deep in your lessons, so that when they get onto the stage, you've already practiced those sorts of things, you've had those discussions, and then in your warm-up, you just remind them of it. Like, don't make this a make or break situation for your students. I tell them every single time, if we don't get a 1, the world's going to keep spinning. Somehow it will, and it's all going to be okay. And then they laugh uncomfortably, and I laugh uncomfortably, or some kid will say something out like, no, it won't. I'm like, yes, it will. It'll be fine. Like, it's going to be fine. It's happened to me before. And, these people that have gone and gotten 1s in every single competition of their year, every single event, congratulations to them. That's awesome. I've taken every single one of my choirs for all these years, and I do that because they need this experience. They really do. And so I don't care. I mean, I do care. Of course I want to get 1s. We all want to get 1s. But you know what? It's okay if we don't, and we are going to be okay. So, it's just, what did they write on the sheets? What did I miss this year that caused me not to get that, Or maybe I got some 2s in an area that I just didn't cover as well, this year, and that's okay. And it could be a variety of reasons, right? Snowstorms, different set of kids. Maybe you're going through something personal and you weren't able to pull it out of them. It's all good. We're all human, right? Okay, some other things I want to say. All right, I'm going on a bit long. Sorry. I want you to make sure that you do things like this. Discuss the acoustics in your room versus the acoustics that they're going to experience when they're on the stage. And if you don't know what they're going to be, then just prepare them for the differences that they will encounter and how it can impact them. I've seen a million times with my own students that they, I can't even tell you, can't even count how many times I forgot to have that discussion, and they start to sing, and I see them noticing the acoustics because I've taught them to listen. And then sometimes they will hear differently, so they hear a kid to their left they never heard before, and the kids that are less experienced will look. Even if you taught them to look at you, it's a natural thing for an inexperienced beginner, right, to do. And so you have to have that conversation beforehand. Like, I know, say to them, you're going to experience different things with the acoustics. It's going to sound different. As soon as you start singing, you're going to know that. Remind them in the warm-up room. But I don't want to see you react. You can tell me your reaction after as a part of our post, when we're talking about it. But you can't, show anybody that you're reacting, because those things take you off the music. They make you stop watching me. And so all that information is coming into their ears, and we have to teach them how to deal with it. Okay, another word of the device I have is to discuss accompaniment. with them, the accompanist. In Georgia, yes, most of us have our kids sing at a brick. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, that's a good plan. Love it. Keep sharing your ideas. Yep. All right. So I hire an accompanist to come with me, and we practice ahead of time, right? And the first time we practice, the kids always notice things like tempo differences, and they react and they don't sing as well. They notice things like that they're not playing as loudly, and they react. These are middle school kids. It's normal. They are beginners, even if they are been with me since sixth grade. They're more experienced, but they're not that experienced. You have to have that discussion. You have to tell them that it is a live, organic situation, and that they have to, nobody knows out there what you sounded like in your room. Nobody knows that it feels different to you unless you tell them with your eyes and with your face. Have to be in choir. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Yeah, that's a tough one when they have to be in choir. I totally get it. You have that discussion about live performances, like especially if you use tracks a lot. Like I'm really bad about not wanting to play live in my class. Like I just record my accompaniment on my clavinet and I press go, and then it's always the same. So I have to have this discussion with them because the tempos are different, and it does impact their energy. It does impact their breath. It impacts everything, but they need to realize they can deal with it, and we have to teach them how and what to do and what not to do. Okay, so the next piece of valuable information I'd like to share that has helped me over the years is to make sure that you prepare them for the actual listening portion of adjudication when they are sitting and listening to other choirs. What is appropriate? What is not appropriate? You want this to be a great experience for them. Don't assume that they've all been raised correctly. Don't. Just tell them what is right, what isn't right, what your state expects. Mine expects complete silence between the groups. So there can be 10, 15 minutes while the judges are writing. And my students just have to sit there. And they have to be absolutely silent. So they can only endure about 4 or 5 groups. We don't want to make them over-endure, right? We don't, because that's not good. It's not going to result in something good. They're not going to come away with a good experience. If you let them listen 3, 4, 5 groups, they're going to have some good information that's going to help them and create discussions when you return, and they're going to see that people are working on the same things they are. Talk about bathroom, when to go, when is it appropriate. Yes, good idea, Angela. I'm sorry, Anola. Sorry, I need my glasses for sure. Good Lord. Okay, so another thing I want to encourage everybody to do is to get your parents involved in this. Obviously, they need to be chaperones, but I invite my parents to come listen. They need to come hear their kids in this great acoustical environment. We have a crappy acoustical environment at my school. My room is fine, but it's small, so I can't have concerts in there. I have to sing in the gym. It's absolutely terrible. So their one time to sing in a great location is at this event. So it's wonderful that to watch the kids get to experience what it's like to sing in a good place, with good acoustics. And it's also great to see them, enjoy and get the goosebumps in ways they haven't before. All right, the next thing I want to encourage you to do is to video record it. Get your parents to video record so that you can have a post discussion. Let them watch it with their iPhones, whatever. I always get a parent to do that. If there is a professional audio recording, make sure you get it. It's so helpful in the post discussion. And the post discussions are just as valuable as everything you do pre, right? It's really important. This is a gigantic process that is so fruitful if you plan it right in the pre-planning and in the post-planning. You need to also consider to determine when and how to deliver the information about the ratings based on your student's current level of experience and preparation. And don't be afraid to just go for comments only. So if you think, don't do it on the site where other kids are going to hear. That's obnoxious, because if you get like a superior, all the kids are going to scream, and we don't want to do that to the other people. I usually do it on the bus on the way, like when we're far away from the building, or if we have a lunch after, or when we get back to school, on the buses before they get off. And after the event, as part of my post, I give the students copies of the adjudication forms, and I let them see what every judge wrote, and we discuss the groups that they heard that day, and that's like our day after. If you aren't happy with the scores, it's understandable. You know, it happens. If you're not comfortable giving them the sheets, that's also understandable. Like, you know, if it's lower scores and you don't want to do that, I got it. I totally understand. But you want to use that information to dig deep and soul search for yourself and for your kids. Maybe you can like summarize some of the information and code it in a way that it will be a positive experience, a positive post experience for them. So they will want to work hard for the next year, you know, when they go. Okay, and the last thing I want to say about adjudications is that it is a way to measure the ability of you and your students as you work to Western European style choral music art, right? And that's important, and that's part of our job. It's a big one. But remember, that's not the only way to sing, all right? I mean, there's so many ways to sing, and this is just one. And some of you are really good at teaching other ways, and you have wonderful programs with your kids that your kids love, and this is not your jam, and that's all right. You know, I mean, we're all taught. Most of us are all taught in the Western European way, and we go to school and we learn that, and it's all good, and you know, it's important. You know, it is. But what's more important with our middle schoolers is that they want to sing, and if we're not impassioned about what we're teaching, then you know, I mean, go and learn if you want, but like, don't make it the be all end all of everything in your life. Because it's not, right? And all right, so I'm going to end with, if you have questions, I'm just going to review these real quick. S-Cube deals in my store for until 6 a.m. You can, they're marked in the store right now, $129 for level 1 S-Cubed, $169 for Mega Bundle until 6 a.m. Level 2 is $59 until 6 a.m. tomorrow, and lesson 1 is free. Go grab them at these prices. And after 6 a.m., there are still some great deals going on until January 31st. I'm going to put a post with a link to how you can get them. Basically, you're going to have to reach out to me personally so I can set the price for you in the store. And those will be available until the 31st of January at 8 p.m. because I'll go to bed early, as probably most of you do. All right, so if you have questions, you can shoot them out. I wish I didn't have my phone. I appreciate you all so much. I do. Please ask questions if you want. And I'll do some more. Oh, good. I'm glad that, Jennifer, I appreciate it. I see when you post on Facebook, and all of you. I see your names, and I appreciate your support so much. I mean, it's all of you people that are here tonight and people on Facebook that have really helped the word get out about my program, and I am grateful beyond measure because I certainly poured my soul into it, and I wanted to share every detail of everything I knew to help with sight singing. But there's more to teaching than just sight singing. So if you have questions about anything, you let me know, and I will keep looking at the comments as we dismiss here. And again, it will be up on YouTube when I finish and I press pause in a minute. You guys, thank you, and I'll be in touch now that my shoulder's better. I'll be in touch some more with some Facebook Lives, and you can certainly email me with any topics you'd like me to cover over the next coming months. Have a great week.